Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Climate analysts are sounding the alarm on increased flooding in the southern tier. A recent study found that local counties will face an increase in flood risks in the coming decades. Matt Kleindens joins us from Corning to break down the areas most at risk.
Good evening, Anna. Southern tier communities worked to clean up from flooding back in August. One Brooklyn-based institute says the effects of climate change makes the region more vulnerable to future flooding.
It certainly is telling, but not surprising.
County Manager Jack Wheeler says flooding is nothing new for communities in Steuben County. However, record-setting flooding could become more common to the county as a result of climate change. According to a recent study from the First Street Foundation, cities and counties throughout the southern tier face the highest flood risk throughout the state. Hornell tops the list of cities most at risk, while Steuben and Chemung counties rank in the top 3 counties most at risk.
Unfortunately, it's really flash flooding is the number one that we identified that is our major risk.
Towns throughout the southern tier sustained major damage from flash flooding during Tropical Storm Fred. Wheeler says the August flooding is an example of why the county works with state agencies to improve infrastructure in order to prepare for future flooding.
We have seen, and the data shows that these sort of intense storms are on the rise, and we need to be prepared for that.
Steuben County is working to assess property damage from the flood and secure relief funding from FEMA. Matt Kleindens, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
Protests over COVID-19 vaccine mandates in the streets of New York City today. The marchers, including NYC firefighters and sanitation workers, shut down traffic heading into Manhattan as they walked over the Brooklyn Bridge. This comes 5 days after Mayor Bill de Blasio announced all city workers had to have at least a single dose of the vaccine by October 29th. Now, those who don't will be suspended without pay. The NYPD and the FDNY already faced a requirement to either get the shots or be tested weekly. However, that testing option is no longer available. According to a new study in the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, people who get the COVID-19 vaccine are not only protected from the virus, they are also less likely to die from the virus. The New York Department of Labor is banning employers from testing employees for marijuana. This new regulation applies to both current and prospective workers. The DOH did carve out exceptions for the new rule. Federal employees and truck drivers can still be tested for marijuana. Visibly impaired workers may also be tested and punished by employers. New York is the first state in the country to ban testing for marijuana. The city of Corning is beginning loose leaf cleanup this week. Residents are being asked to rake leaves to an area between the curb and sidewalk to prevent blocking storm drains. Drivers should keep an eye out for kids playing in the leaves and should avoid parking on top of them. All leaves must be raked to the curbside by November 15th in order to be collected. FDA vaccine advisors will soon review data for the vaccine in children ages 5 to 11 years old. Now, this meeting comes as the CDC monitors another new variant. Lauren Blanchard has the latest.
Younger Americans could soon line up for a COVID-19 shot. Tomorrow, an FDA advisory panel meets to discuss Pfizer's application for children 5 to 11 years old. In an initial review, FDA regulators said the benefits outweigh key risks for that age group. Dr. Anthony Fauci predicts the shots could be available for young children by early next month.
If you look at the data that's been made public and announced by the company, the data look good as to the efficacy and the safety.
Last week, Pfizer released data showing the kid-sized doses of its vaccine are more than 90% effective in younger children. Before distribution, the FDA and CDC will need to review the data. But even if the vaccine can get a thumbs up, public health officials will have to convince parents it's safe for their kids to get the shot.
Parents are going to have to are going to hit this decision point in the next 3 weeks when it becomes authorized and approved by the CDC.
Meanwhile, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky says the agency is monitoring a new COVID variant known as Delta Plus. The strain is currently spreading through the UK, but it's not yet determined whether the new variant is more contagious. Health officials say the best thing to do is get vaccinated.
We have had a handful of cases here in the United States, but it has not taken off as it has in UK.
Dr. Walensky says she does not anticipate the strain forcing another ban on travel from Europe. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
President Biden traveling to New Jersey today to push his Build Back Better agenda. The president met with Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Joe Manchin on Sunday. But they walked away without a final deal, putting the pressure on negotiators this week. Caroline Shively is in Washington with more.
The president headed to a New Jersey elementary school Monday morning to lobby for his Build Back Better agenda. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says Democrats are close to an agreement on the cornerstone of the president's agenda, the social spending bill that until recently was $3.5 trillion, but has gotten pared down to win over centrist Democrats.
We've 90% of the bill agreed to and written. We just have some of the last decisions to be made. It is less than we had was projected to begin with, but it's still bigger than anything we have ever done.
The framework contains money for pre-K, child care, elder care, climate change, and raises taxes on the wealthy. But the bill itself is still being written. The president is struggling to get yes votes out of two centrist Democrats, Senators Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, without alienating progressives.
He'll have the House. Now, if there's a holdout, if progressive senators are opposed to it, then there's a problem.
The bill doesn't have a single GOP vote.
This is going to be a massive increase in taxes on the American economy. We've already seen the inflationary impacts of it.
Democrats plan a vote on the spending bill as well as a $1 trillion infrastructure bill this week, but that is a deadline that has slipped in the past. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Federal officials say there's been a massive uptick in ransomware attacks in 2021. Brett Larson explains how to protect yourself.
In the first 6 months of this year, there were more ransomware attacks than all of last year.
Ransomware is malware that is easily enters a company's environment or an organization's systems, and then has the ability to proliferate across and encrypt that data, make that data available, essentially crippling an organization's operations.
Steve Graywall is Chief Technology Officer with Cohesity, which helps organizations avoid ransomware and bounce back if they're hit. But ransomware attacks don't just stop businesses from operating. The attack on the Colonial Pipeline earlier this year resulted in temporary fuel supply shortages along the East Coast. The Treasury Department now requires companies and individuals to report ransomware payments. The department said those payments totaled around $600 million in the first 6 months of 2021, and it's expected to increase significantly by the end of the year.
They're certainly not going to stop. They're here to stay. The barrier to entry is lower. The sophistication is higher. So we're going to continue to see an uptick.
The advice for individuals, small businesses, and the largest corporations, familiar.
A lot of times these ransomware attacks are triggered by a phishing email or a malware link or a download or attachment. So being absolutely vigilant about keeping an eye on what you're receiving and whether or not you should click on those links and open those attachments.
And of course, most experts say the best way to recover from a ransomware attack is to keep a full backup of all your files. In New York, Brett Larson, Fox News.
Data centers help tech companies store valuable information and make it possible for the rest of us to access information online. The U.S. is home to more data centers than any other country in the world, but environmentalists are worried these facilities could be straining resources in vulnerable areas. Marianne Rafferty reports.
Most of us rely on the internet every day, but our thirst for streaming movies and going online shopping could be draining valuable water resources from drought-stricken states. That's because the data centers big tech companies need to help them run need millions of gallons of water to help keep their machines cool. And with California, Oregon, and Washington getting drier and hotter, concerns over the environmental impacts of tech companies are putting communities on edge.
These instances are expected to get worse over time.
And for folks in the small town of The Dalles, Oregon, this issue is front and center. Google already has a data center here, but wants to build 2 more in an area already seeing dramatic decreases in water levels.
The house was built in 2005, and the water level in our wells dropped 15 feet. So that's in 16 years, it's dropped 15 feet.
Google says it is, quote, committed to the long-term health of the county's economy and natural resources. Some local officials say they're not worried, claiming Google will actually help increase the town's access to water and won't impact residents or farmers.
We're building additional capacity into our water system paid for by Google to serve the rest of the city.
The city will actually be in a better place to address climate change with the terms of this draft agreement than we would be without it.
Like many tech companies, Google is also trying to be sustainable with its water usage. The company's facility outside of Atlanta uses treated sewage water instead of drinking water. In Los Angeles, Marianne Rafferty, Fox News.
Still ahead tonight, community members in a Nebraska town mourning the loss of 2 people killed in a workplace shooting.
It's just a great feeling to have this many people here pulling together for everyone that's been involved.
How people came together to honor the victims.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. We did see a lot of sunshine, at least for the first half of the day, but clouds are starting to take over as rain continues to inch to the east as well. We've been located south of this warm front or the leading edge of warmer air, and this system is associated with a low pressure system that's moving through the Midwest right now. There will be a cold front that will try to nudge to the north right over our area, and so we're going to see a little bit cooler temperatures as we make our way toward the middle of the week, and we do have rain chances as well. But out ahead of this system, temperatures have been really warm with readings mainly the 70s in the afternoon. In Corning, it was about 14 degrees warmer than yesterday, about 17 degrees warmer in Elmira, 13 in Watkins Glen, and around 11 degrees warmer in Bath. As we head into tomorrow, expect a lot of cloud cover. In fact, these clouds will bring a lot of rain occasionally, so it's going to be a rain-soaked day. Temperature-wise, it will be about 10 to 15 degrees cooler by the middle of the week, and then we have another round of rain coming in by the end of the week, and so it could bring a little bit of rain by the early part of the weekend. So by tomorrow, that low pressure system I was telling you about will be moving toward the east coast. Behind it, we're going to continue to see some moisture wrap around this low pressure system, and so there will be a few more showers remaining for the end of the day on Tuesday, and then a cold wind takes over by Wednesday. It will be a little bit drier for Wednesday and Thursday, but we have another system that will be coming in from the central part of the country, and so that's going to bring the rain back by the end of the week. So we will start off the Halloween weekend with a little bit more rain. So for tonight, the heaviest rain will be scooting off to our east, but even with that, we are going to see a few showers coming in, and it's going to be off and on rain from the morning through the afternoon, even some moderate to heavy rain at times as well. This will continue into the early morning hours on Wednesday before it clears away. And then again, it is going to we have another system that will be coming in that will bring a little bit more rain by the end of the week. But tonight, temperatures drop down into the mid-60s with a lot of cloud cover. Rain tomorrow off and on, highs around 58 degrees in Corning and 57 degrees in Elmira. Your 7-day forecast calls for cool conditions through your Wednesday. A little bit more sunshine as we head into Thursday. Behind that cold front, the winds will really kick up, but I think by the end of the week, those winds will start to subside. Another round of rain on Friday and Saturday, leaving us with highs only in the 50s, and then we gradually warm up to around 58 degrees on Halloween.
People in Superior, Nebraska are mourning the loss of 2 people killed in a workplace shooting last week. 60-year-old Sandra Nelson and 53-year-old Darren Kopecki were fatally shot at a grain services company where they worked. Authorities say a 61-year-old man was fired earlier in the day and returned with a handgun, opening fire. Roselle Ventura has details on a vigil held in Superior to honor the victims.
Superior, surrounding area, friends, family, everyone here. Let's stand together and let's be love.
With candles in hands, hundreds prayed and sang for the deceased.
And whatever my lot.
One of Nelson's older sisters, Jackie Alverson, says she was overwhelmed by the community support.
It's just a great feeling to have this many people here pulling together for everyone that's been involved.
Prayers were also made for shooter Max Hoskinson's family.
Let them feel your presence inside and out.
Some community members say they're incredibly surprised and hurt by what happened to their community.
I can't believe it. We've never had anything like that happen so bad.
In your holy name, we pray. Amen.
A couple of Superior residents say they have heard and felt the support from other communities.
Hey, just wanted to let you know we're thinking of you. We just want to let you guys know in Superior we're praying for you.
Would you tell me a little bit about her character? How was Sandy?
First of all, she lived for her family. She loved her family. She was fun.
Some community members say this is something that will be completely hard to recover from, but they'll work together to move on.
I saw something in my heart. I saw this. I saw our town coming together.
A new documentary about an actress's struggle with multiple sclerosis is now streaming on Discovery Plus. Selma Blair first revealed she had the disease in 2018. On today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has more with Blair, who opens up about this autoimmune disease.
It was the onset of MS, which is just a symptom of a really unhealthy immune system.
It's called Introducing Selma Blair.
I'm sick today.
A new documentary highlights a potentially debilitating disease and what it's like to live with it.
You know, real fogginess that can be really life-altering when you're trying to get by with people.
Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease which affects the central nervous system and disrupts the flow of information to the brain. Most people with MS are diagnosed between the ages of 20 and 50. It affects at least 2 to 3 times more women than men. The cause is still unknown and there is no cure.
The earlier the diagnosis is made and the earlier you intervene with these effective treatments, the better the long-term outcome.
Dr. Benjamin Segal is the co-director of the Neurological Institute at Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. He says MS treatment has come a long way. In the 25 years he's been seeing patients with the disease, treatment now includes stem cell transplants, which Blair received.
What that treatment involves is chemotherapy to wipe out the immune system. And then you introduce new immune stem cells. So these are stem cells that are going to replace the immune system that was eradicated by the chemotherapy.
July marked 2 years since Blair's stem cell transplant. The actress says she's now seeing some progress.
But I'm really doing well right now. I really am, and no, it's not perfect. And that's what it is, and I am very grateful.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Well, you've probably heard of little free libraries which allow people to take or leave a book. Well, a woman in Wisconsin has an artistic twist on that idea in her very own front yard. Reporter Emily Matesic has the story.
Something fancy, too.
Amy Zander is an artist and a teacher. She works with paint, clay, glass, and other materials in a studio in her backyard. But she wanted to share her love of art with more people. So for her birthday this summer, her husband built her this curbside box. It's a little free art gallery, and it sits in front of her house on Clee Street in Green Bay.
It's just chock full. The people that walk by the street can, grab something that they like, leave something.
Much like the Little Free Library concept, Zander's Little Free Art Gallery is for the public. She encourages people to come and check out the art inside. Everything from rocks painted by her granddaughter to jewelry she's made.
It goes 365, 24/7. People that are walking by, cars that can stop, can, open, check it out. If you like something, feel free to take it along.
She also encourages people to leave their work too.
To spread a little happiness, to create smiles, especially with the pandemic going on. Just to warm somebody's day, is kind of what it's all about.
And for those budding artists, there are supplies inside as well.
If you don't have art supplies at home, you can grab something in order to, to give art a try too.
This little free art gallery has only been up for a couple of months, and Xander says it's popular in the neighborhood.
It's a lot of fun. I've enjoyed every single minute of my gift from my husband, and we're going to continue to do that. So it's fun.
She hopes more people visit her curbside gallery to spread the joy and happiness that comes along with art.
This pair of Michael Jordan sneakers broke a record at an auction over the weekend. The Nike Airship sneakers were auctioned off Sunday by Sotheby's. They say cards collector Nick Fiorella paid $1.47 million for them. The price tag set a new world record for the most money ever paid at an auction for a pair of sneakers. Jordan wore the red and white footwear in 1984 during the 5th game of his rookie season with the Chicago Bulls. This Sunday marked the 29th annual Dulles Plane Pull to Benefit Special Olympics. Teams of 25 people hit the runway at Washington's Dulles International Airport to compete. The object was to pull an 82-ton Fedex Boing 757 12 feet in the least amount of time. Deputies from the Chesapeake County Sheriff's Office took the win with a time just under 6 seconds. Organizers are hoping by next year there will be no COVID protocols and they can have spectators back on the runway. Well, an all-new animated Star Trek adventure launches this week, featuring a familiar voice from Star Trek Voyager. Rick DeMiguela reports.
What is all of this? Our ticket out of here.
A new crew beams up for Star Trek Prodigy.
Join us. You always wanted to see the stars.
Much like their characters, some of the voice actors are very new to the Trek universe.
I'd never seen it, and I think actually that ended up probably working in my favor because it meant that I was able to bring my own take to the thing and modernize it slightly for the next generation.
Same thing. I knew this, and I knew, all the big iconic moments. I've, of course, heard the name Spock and Kirk, and, you can't not. Again, I agree. Totally worked in my favor for this because you don't have that pressure of trying to live up to something so humongous.
I'm Catherine Janeway, your training advisor. I'm a hologram based on one of the most decorated captains in Starfleet history.
Advising the completely unprepared crew is a familiar face, in hologram form.
Creating the real Janeway, live-action Janeway, was in itself a pretty singular adventure, and a significant one. So to revisit, even in animated form, gave me a moment's pause, but only a moment, because Alex Kurtzman was so compelling in his pitch and in his framing of Prodigy and what it would mean to young people. I've seen my share of wayward crews, and I can tell you this, you've got potential.
Beaming up in Hollywood, I'm Rick DeMiguela.
And we wanted to leave you with a smile tonight. A Melrose Park, Illinois family shows off their son's sweet Halloween costume, one that movie buffs are sure to recognize. The 1961 Ferrari GT California of Ferris Bueller fame. The Alfano family started the project for their son who has cerebral palsy and uses a wheelchair back in August. Everything is accurate right down to the mileage.